All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for that. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how not to build a loyalty program based on some personal experience. But before I do that, I want to give you a little introduction to myself so you can kind of understand the context in which I'm speaking from. So for the last year and a half, I have been working at Booking.com. And for the last 6 months, before the current team I started working on, I was working on a team called Genius. Does anyone know what Genius is? Okay, like one person in the audience. So that's actually the exact problem that we were trying to solve. So in terms of a little background about me, and you can probably tell from my accent, I'm originally from the US, from California specifically. I've tried to tame my LA Valley Girl accent a little bit when my dad said I sounded uneducated, but that's just a side note. But for the last 3 years, I've actually been living here in Tel Aviv. And that's actually shaped a lot of the ways that I've actually thought about loyalty programs because they're quite different in the US. So you guys might think of when you guys might think of the US, you might think of our orange president or maybe how much we love guns. But there's actually something that's pretty distinct about living in the US. And that is our love for credit cards and credit card points. So if anyone in the audience is here from the US or you've heard of our credit card programs, they're pretty amazing. So I myself probably have like 4 or 5 different credit cards, even though I live here in Israel. And that's actually pretty mild compared to how many credit cards a lot of my friends and family have. So what we do is we sign up for these new credit cards and we rack up tons of points. And sometimes we don't even know what the points actually amount to, but we love to do it anyway. We just love racking up these points. And this is not something that is common in Europe. This is actually a foreign concept. So when I started out in a new team dealing with loyalty, one of the first things that I brought up was these amazing point programs that we have in the US. And so just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page here when it comes to actually understanding what loyalty is it's the result of a consistently positive emotional experience or satisfaction towards a brand or product. So you guys could probably see in my eyes how much I love my credit cards because I really do. I mean, they're just amazing. I use them all the time, even if I'm starting to run out of dollars. But still, I find a way to use my credit cards. And these traditional point systems are not the only way that companies can actually build loyalty. There's actually a bunch of different traditional and non-traditional loyalty schemes that companies use. So for one, there's this subscription-based model. And you guys might be somewhat familiar with it. It's something that Amazon Prime uses. So you basically purchase this membership and you feel like you're getting discounts because maybe you see a slash price and you're like, yeah, I saved $1 on toilet paper. I'm so smart. And then you get free shipping, so you buy everything from this service. Or there's programs called Earn and Burn. Does anyone here know Hotels.com? Do you guys know what their loyalty program is? Okay. Some people. So basically, you book 10 nights and you get the 11th night for free. And this is something that even my mom loves to use. And I tell her, Mom, I get a discount on Booking.com. And she's like, no, I am working towards my 11th night. So people really love this program. But there's also non-traditional programs as well. So there's this kind of feel-good program. So if you guys have ever ordered a pair of Toms or bought a pair of Warby Parker glasses or had the opportunity to purchase Lemonade insurance, you're not actually building something towards yourself, but you're building something for the greater good. So either a child in need gets a pair of shoes or a pair of glasses, or you get to contribute money towards your favorite charity. So that's actually also a form of a loyalty program. And then lastly, there's brand-based loyalty. So who here knows about Apple's loyalty program? No one? And what is their loyalty program? Okay, so that's more of a trade-in program. But the reason why you guys probably don't know about Apple's loyalty program is because they don't really have one. because they don't really need one, because people love the Apple brand so much, and it just feels so good to take out your sexy MacBook from the box or buy your new iPhone that people are actually loyal to the brand without them even having to, buy 10 iPhones and get the 11th one for free. So these are all ways to actually build loyalty with your customers. And these are all really equally powerful ways. And so when we were trying to solve this problem at Booking, these were some of the things that we were starting to look at. So what I'm going to do for the next few minutes or so is actually take you through a case study about how my team here in Tel Aviv, which, by the way, we were one of 7 teams as part of this larger initiative at Booking.com, that was actually trying to solve the problem with customer loyalty. So now the question is, all right, well, Booking is this big company, and we've all probably used them, but why does loyalty actually matter for us when it comes to our customers? And so the thing is about the way that we acquire customers is it's really expensive. So when you're spending tons of money a year on things like Google AdWords and other marketing initiatives, it's really expensive to acquire the customer for the first time. And the best way to get the ROI from the customer is to have them come back naturally. So whenever you think about booking your next trip, you think, all right, I'll just go directly to Booking's website. And if Booking is able to make you do that, well, they've achieved some sort of customer loyalty, whether you love the brand or not. And so what we've found is that users didn't actually feel strongly towards our platform, and the brand recognition of our loyalty program was really low. So when we would ask people if they knew what Genius was, a lot of people would say, oh yeah, it's that thing that when you go to Apple, you have like the Genius bar or whatever, or people would start to mention other things that were totally unrelated to Booking. So we knew that this was really a problem, and we felt that this was something in the Tel Aviv office that we could actually help solve in a unique way. So we are a brand new team. So as the UX designer on the team, I said, yeah, let's do a design sprint, and let's try to understand how we can actually solve this problem. So what we actually ended up doing is we came up with this hypothesis because our office does tons of things with machine learning, and we actually, every feature that we try to build, we do so doing so with machine learning. So we said we can actually use machine learning to build personalized incentives that will increase user loyalty towards our loyalty program. And we were so sure of this, and we're like, yes, this is going to work. We're going to create these complex schemes that are based on different user personas, and we're going to use machine learning to target specific users. And we just started designing and planning and scheming, and we're like, yes, we're going to launch this to our users, and it's going to be so great, and conversion is going to be so high, and everyone at Booking is going to look at our team as like the golden star and the golden standard of this company. So in order to do this, it's really expensive, and it would actually take a big investment, both development-wise and also monetarily, because ultimately we wanted to give something back to our users. So we did some user research with 6 focus groups, 3 in Tel Aviv and 3 in London. And this is ultimately what we showed to our users. And I know I see some of you squinting, and we're going to do more of a deep dive into this, so don't worry about that. So this is the thing that I showed to users initially. And where the idea came from was essentially this punch card, so to speak. So we said, okay, well, we're all about machine learning and personalization, so why don't we go ahead and show users where they've been? We can start to show them what they've earned on each trip. And ultimately, because we know the certain destination that they're searching for based on that user session, we can incentivize the user to actually book from that particular city by saying, hey, if you book from this city, you'll earn this, and then next time you'll have this amount in your Booking wallet. Now, I just want to preface this. We never actually tried this on our users, so that's why a lot of you have never seen this. We just user tested it. And ultimately, what we showed to the users was that, okay, you could gain something like 277 shekels, which people agreed that that's a pretty nice amount to actually earn. And our team collaborated on this. Everyone approved the design. Again, it was pretty rough because we were doing this quite quickly. But we also wanted to add a time limitation on it because we run in experiment cycles. And also, we wanted to, nudge the user a little bit to go ahead and use this. And lastly, the other interesting thing about this program is we called it a bonus. So that's just something that I want you guys to keep in your head. We said this is the genius bonus from our loyalty program, and this is what we're going to show to our users. And what do you guys think users thought of this when we showed it to them? Too much work. And the problem was we didn't actually understand the program ourselves. Like if you had actually asked us how to earn these points, every single person on our team would probably say something different because it was really, really complicated. And every time we would start to talk about it, no one was really aligned because this thing just went over everyone's head. So with Hotels.com, you have the 11th night for free. That's really easy to understand. But with this type of build-up loyalty scheme, it was super, super complicated. So when I actually went ahead and showed this to users, I got really bad reactions. And it was pretty sad because I was actually sitting in the back room of a user research facility somewhere in Petah Tikva. And my manager was there. My manager's manager was there. People were actually streaming it from our Tel Aviv office. And users, and we were testing it on Israelis, right? And Israelis are pretty direct and sometimes kind of harsh. And we had a user researcher that actually flew in from Amsterdam to help us with this research. And I won't forget one of the things that that was said when our user researcher asked the participants if they had any final advice after they had given their critiques on what could be improved. And one of the participants said, "Get a real designer." Yeah, get a real designer. Oh, and by the way, there was like 20 people streaming this. So yeah, I felt pretty good about myself afterwards. But it was a really good lesson because I had to actually try to think and understand why users reacted so negatively to this. So let's break this down a little bit. Now, the first thing that we had here was we actually went ahead and told users the different locations that they had been in the past. And users' reactions to this were, why do I care that I went to Barcelona in June 2018? I care about Athens now. That isn't actually relevant for me at all. So why are you showing that to me? It actually just complicates things. And then we had these little icons with a check and an unlock, and users felt that this was actually really gimmicky. And then lastly, users didn't really understand this whole concept of this arrow that went to a wallet and then you'll earn this much. And actually, it would be really expensive for us to give this to each of our users. And we were willing to do it because we wanted users to feel loyal to us. But ultimately, users really didn't care about the monetary amount that we were offering to give them. And in addition to that, we put a time limitation at the end. And actually, we needed to put this time limitation because we run things in experiment cycles, and this was the max that we could actually run this experiment on. But it was really the way that we said it to users. And for people that have used Booking.com, you guys probably know that sometimes it feels a little bit aggressive, or it can feel aggressive. And so users really didn't like this, and they said, but this is a bonus. Why should there be a time limitation on this? And we absolutely agreed. And so another quote that really stood out to me that one of the users said is, if the online travel agencies, the OTAs, are not loyal to me, why should I be loyal to them? And this was something that we really had to think about as we were building out this program, because ultimately, we're not trying to trick users. We're not trying to use dark patterns. We're not trying to make users book instantaneously for the sake of it and for the sake of our metrics. We were trying to build loyalty. And so we really had to deconstruct this and think about what does loyalty actually mean to us? And this is where the concept of a reward versus a bonus comes in. Because we were actually calling this a bonus, users expected to get something, well, that felt like a bonus. And what we were presenting to them just did not feel that way at all. And what users actually expressed is that when we were citing something that was more of a reward, they expected to work for it. But when it was a bonus, they wanted it to have that happy feeling that you get when you open up a present and you see something that you weren't expecting. So then we showed this to users, and after a few iterations, this is where we got. And ultimately, we said to users, along the same vein, that if they booked that particular location that they were looking at, they could unlock the bonus. And what the bonus was is a free room upgrade on us. And actually, if you were to calculate it out and do the math, a free room upgrade is much less expensive for us to give out than, 277 shekels, although that's a totally arbitrary number. And so we really had to think about, okay, well, why do users react better when it's just this single value proposition as opposed to this complex loyalty scheme where ultimately they're actually pocketing more money, but why does this feel better to them? So there's a few different reasons why this could potentially be. So what we had users do is actually deconstruct all the different mock-ups that we gave to them in order to understand why they felt a certain way. And a lot of it actually came down to the language that we use itself. So even though we're basically saying to the user the same exact thing, which was that they could use this particular bonus within a certain time frame, it wasn't about what we were saying, but it was about the way that we were saying it. And it wasn't about what we were offering, but it was about the way we were offering it to them. So even though this experience definitely hurt my ego a lot, and very publicly, we had some really great learnings that came out of it. So as a designer, one of the learnings that I had personally was whenever showing something conceptually, especially if you yourself can't fully explain all of the details, it's really important to show something that's more low fidelity, because users get really caught up on the pixels. And this was something that surprised me, especially with a group of people that we were testing that were non-designers. So I learned for next time to show something at more of a conceptual level versus something that you could actually see on the site itself. Another thing that was an interesting learning is to not remember user attributes solely for the sake of personalization. So a lot of users expressed that they were really confused why we were telling them that they went to a certain location on a certain date when it didn't actually matter for them. And the reason we did this is because we wanted to show our users that we knew them. But our users didn't care that we knew them. They actually thought this was kind of weird and creepy. And for us, it was really important to make sure that any sort of information in terms of personalization that we were giving to them was actually relevant for them. And that's a really important key when it comes to designing with personalization. Another point was the instantaneous benefits showed the highest potential. So users, when it comes to loyalty, they don't want to feel like they have to earn something that's so difficult to achieve that they won't ever get there. So when you can show something where there's an instantaneous benefit, even if that's just the way users perceive it, that was something that they really liked and really appreciated. And another thing was communicating a simple bonus offering. Again, when it's a bonus, it's supposed to feel like a present and a nice surprise. So don't overcomplicate it like we did. And lastly, softer language. This is something that we can all learn from. My dad once said to me that there's always a nicer way to say something. Even if you're really angry and you want to send someone that really mean text message, just take a breath and say it softly. And this is something that we learn, especially when it comes to e-commerce. So I want to thank you guys for being here. And just remember, when it comes to actually building out loyalty programs, the winning combination, and this isn't just true for Israelis, it's true for everyone, is you want to have your users perceiving something as free, something that is really an offering, it's a present from you, something that's tangible, so not just money, but something that's actually like a free room upgrade or a gift that they can have that they can actually imagine themselves using, and something that's instantaneous, something that's not too difficult to use. So if you guys have any additional questions or comments, or you want to be like my 7th Twitter follower, because I'm not very good with that, but I'd love to hear from you guys, make sure to stay in touch. Thank you so much for being here.